Okay, now it's time for Pro Picks with Ross Gerber. This segment is brought to you by ATB Financial. With $62 billion in assets, ATB Financial is powering possibilities for more than 820,000 financial services clients in Alberta and beyond. ATB's capital markets arm is a full-service investment dealer that offers investment and corporate banking, sales and trading, institutional research, and risk management. Visit atb.com/inthemoney for more information. Okay, Ross, what I love about these picks is none of them are the Mag 7. You know, those have been such a successful group, but we're really kind of going outside of that for ideas. And your first one is Netflix. Maybe it should be a Mag 7 because it's been so remarkable.
Well, it's a FANG. It's a FANG.
It was a FANG, yes.
Right.
And then it got kicked out when they formed a new clique, which can happen. Talk to me about why add Netflix here, whether there's still whether there's still a lot of upside.
Yeah, so with Netflix, you know, I'm happy to say it's been one of our most successful investments over time. And Netflix has run into a couple walls in its time, and then they had to adjust. And they were really successful at doing that when they went from DVDs to the internet. And then recently it was this paid ad tier versus subscription only. And for a long time, it was like, oh, there'll never be ads on Netflix. And then they realized, like, holy moly, not everybody's going to pay $25 a month. So if we run something at $7 a month and run ads, maybe we can make a ton of money on ad dollars. Okay, so that was the first acceptance that having an ad tier made sense for Netflix. And then password sharing crackdown. So by not letting people share their passwords and creating an ad tier, they were able to add, originally they said there were 300 million users that weren't paying. And I thought that number was crazy. You know, like, really? That many? And it turns out it probably was. And they've signed up.
They added an insane amount in the most recent quarter.
Insane. It's like 100 million just in the last year or something of new subs. So their numbers weren't wrong that all these people weren't paying. So we used to do this in my office. We have, let's say, 50 employees. And I'd say, how many of you are paying for Netflix? And it was like, none of them. And I was like, why am I paying $25? I got to call my mom, you know? My mom won't know if I take her Netflix subscription, right? It turns out my mom doesn't have one. So, you know, all these people's parents have Netflix subscriptions. So I knew once they cracked down, and sure enough, one by one, they're like, I'm paying now. And there wasn't a pushback to that. There was this fear that people would cancel their subscription, but the content is so good, people didn't. They just started paying. And if they didn't want to pay the $20, they were paying the $7 and watching ads. So what our premise was that they would make more money selling ads and charging $7 than charging $25 with no ads, which turned out to be true. Why? Because engagement on Netflix is super high. So when people are watching the ads on Netflix, it's way better than an ad on television. Because during television, even the Super Bowl, people go to the bathroom, people are talking, people are looking at their phones. But when they're watching Netflix content, they're usually pretty engaged with that content, you know, and it's just the way it is. And so they've also, and then they recently moved into live events. So it started with comedy. And then they realized they were doing these comedy shows. They're like, oh, we can promote the shows, we can record the shows, we can make money on tickets, but then we can put it on our platform and it's a win-win. And comedy was relatively cheap compared to other content forms. And then they're like, let's do alternative sports, you know? And once they got into sports, they realized something that was super powerful, which was that everybody in the world would watch sports instead of just people in the United States. And so if we put sports on that generally are popular for the world, we might have a much bigger audience than regular television. And that turned out to be true during the Tyson fight. So in the Tyson-Jake Paul fight, more people watched that fight than any fight in history. And then they do a couple NFL games, and it's the highest ratings the NFL has got. And it turns out the Beyonce Bowl was better than the halftime show at the Super Bowl. And
it was so good, the Beyonce Bowl.
It was great. It was great.
Amazing.
And then I watched Kendrick, and I was like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen." It's like it's the opposite of entertainment. And I was like,
I just want to move
okay,
on.
so
I want
anyways,
to ask.
the moral is
go
they're
ahead.
just getting started here, and we think they can get to 500,000 subscribers. 500 million.
Okay, so an 80% gain over the last year. You see more upside this year. If the analysts are right, Amazon for the first time will make more revenue than Walmart. But your pick is Walmart. Tell me why.
Well, I think Walmart makes more margin than Amazon on that revenue. And you have to look at Amazon too as several businesses, because AWS is actually the best business Amazon has, which is web services. And now their ad and entertainment business is doing very well, and is probably one of the greatest sources of the growth is actually ad revenue, just like Netflix. So Amazon Prime is starting to pay off for them, and also with sports and football. But Amazon's core business, groceries and delivery, they've gotten more margin out of it, but it's a tough business. Walmart is the opposite of Amazon because it is the central place in people's lives in most cities in America. So in most cities in America, you go to the Walmart if you want to go to get groceries, if you want to get anything. And it's kind of like the place to go. But Walmart created a digital business. So it was like opposite of Amazon. They started off being bricks and mortar, getting disrupted by Amazon, but then they fought back and they built a digital business that's doing quite well. And so their digital business has really grown. Walmart's management is super good. Like they're just super tight. They've really like made the business lean and growth focused and very profitable. I've been very impressed by management. But what it is, Amazon is a consumer staple. Walmart's a consumer staple. And so when inflation goes up, when people are concerned about costs, they go more to Costco and Walmart. So Costco is another play which we don't own. It's a higher valuation than Walmart, but also a really good company. And so they're both extremely well-run companies.
I just want to pause on that because Walmart is expensive. It's a staple, but now you're paying 40 times earnings
Exactly.
for it.
It's expensive.
You still think there's upside?
Yeah, I do. And I just bought more, this week. And I think it's because they have this monetizable upside that is limitless. So the more that prices go up for inflationary prices, the more people go to Walmart and Costco and other places that are cheaper. And what I actually think is that Amazon is less, people like to go to stores and people want to go to the center of town and be around people, and they want to shop online. And I think Walmart has been successful in capturing that multi-channel business where Amazon never has been successful selling out of stores. And so there's a lot of people want to go to a store, and Walmart's the center of town, and they go to the Walmart and they go shopping for groceries, but they're buying lots of other stuff too. But the prices are lower, and so the demand is just continuing to increase.
All right, let's get to Eli Lilly. Super interesting. Obviously, we know Ozempic, made by Novo Nordisk. Eli Lilly has a competitor version of that. Both these stocks rocketed to the moon on enthusiasm, and then they have pulled back.
Right.
And then they rallied a little bit, especially in the case of Eli Lilly. So what's going on with Lilly? Why do you want to add it here? Can it get back to where it was? Or is the kind of craze and excitement around those weight loss shots and pills over?
Well, I'm in LA, so I can safely tell you that the craze for weight loss is not over, and Ozempic is growing like crazy. And we own Novo Nordisk as well, and that stock is cheaper than Lilly from a valuation perspective. But the problem with Novo is it's kind of a one-trick pony around GLP-1 drugs, which are these weight loss drugs, where Lilly has the GLP-1 business, which is really good, but they have other drugs in other areas that they're also leading in. So you have more diversification away from just weight loss drugs. But my basic premise, because we own both, we added Lilly on the weakness because the valuation was twice that of Novo. And so, it's still twice that of Novo, but, we took the opportunity in the 700s and low 800s. But even in here, I think the stock is worth buying because I just read the stat in the earnings report. There's something like 55 million obese Americans, and only 1.5 million of them are taking weight loss drugs currently. And so the market for obesity is massive. I know that that's kind of a weird way to say it, but, couldn't be bigger, And so when you look at markets like China, where they also have, 50 to 100 million obese people, and then you look at obesity across the globe, just even within America or North America, the market could double, triple, quadruple over time. And what we found, and it seems obvious, is if you're overweight or obese, you're going to die younger than non-obese people, and you're going to have substantially more healthcare issues. Substantially. It's just like obesity is a really bad epidemic, let's say. And so these drugs do have side effects. They're not perfect, but the side effects are minimal compared to the health benefits, which are incredible for people. So if you can lose 20 or 30% of, it's really about 20% of your body weight by taking these drugs, we highly recommend people do this because all the other sicknesses, it's just sinking our healthcare system. So obese people are sinking the healthcare system. So what we think is governments, healthcare companies, and everybody's going to cover this over time because it's a massive epidemic that needs to be solved.